and welcome to the Raw Review. We are the Dadley Boyz of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review last night's episode of Man and Now Row. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review Raw, but also SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete. A bloody good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's Raw. What did you make of the show?
I described it this morning over the desks.
I wasn't listening.
Yeah, it never does. This felt like a cold product in front of a hot crowd. There's no bad Raws anymore.
No.
Just snap now. This just wasn't a great one. Like, there's still some good stuff on this. There's still some stuff I'm excited to talk about. It's the goddamn road to WrestleMania. I'm just always excited.
I just can't wait to get to Friday, basically.
I'm just playing like WrestleMania adjacent tunes on Spotify playlists all the time. I'm just watching clips of stuff I've already seen. I watched like last week's SmackDown first 40 minutes like 3 times. It's like...
What kind of tunes you playing on Spotify?
Just like WrestleMania or wrestling adjacent songs.
So like Green Light.
Yeah, like all them sort of ones.
On your little way to work.
They're getting a little rotation every day now. Really excited. Watching the YouTube video of that looping logo where it just goes like, so it's all goated ultimately, fundamentally goated.
So you're telling me that on your commute to work, a little Spotify playlist of all your WrestleMania adjacent songs.
Yeah.
That sounds like Mark stuff. On a completely unrelated note, can you remember back in 1999, I think it was, or 2000, in Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich had a little moan from his mansion about how the rise of Napster was taking away his royalties.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Good news, Lars. Good news. The amount of times I have streamed Seek and Destroy on Spotify since Sunday Night Revolution, I think all of the money he's lost has been made up and then some.
That's on that playlist as well.
We are just two dorks, aren't we?
Yeah, I've got like, it's the like 6 or 7 minute remastered one. And it's like, if streaming works as it does with like those network execs, it's like the longer you spend in, say, like the Metallica fight, or the more money they make. It's like, yeah, I've had that like 10 times in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
I'm sure millions of people have as well. So yeah, I thought this was a slightly disappointing show, but then I just got high standards. Monday Night Raw. I just expect the best viewing experience of the week. I expect first thing on a Tuesday morning. I didn't get it this week.
Well, that'll come tomorrow, obviously.
Fair. This week, yeah.
They've got to hold back. They've got a big
Some weeks there are
premium live event tonight. They're bigging it up on this show as well. Got a few roadblock mentions. Beep, beep, get out of the blue.
a couple of Revolution mentions.
They were, yeah.
Aye?
See them.
Greatness echoes greatness.
What do you make of it, Sitch?
No, not much. Not much at all.
Should we get into it?
Yeah.
So Cody Rhodes comes out. Obviously, huge pad for Cody.
Oh, you're right. It's back, actually. Yeah, right.
All 2 seconds in, he comes to the ring. What do you gals want to talk about? He'd love to talk about WrestleMania, how he's going to stand across from the greatest champion in company history.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
Roman Reigns. Unfortunately, he's unable to talk about that because of a distraction, one that stings a little bit. He's talking about The Rock, of course. He talks about The Rock going on Instagram and posting that ridiculously long video and then deleting it and then posting an even longer video.
I missed that. Was that good? I missed it.
The Instagram one?
Yeah.
Totally
I
missed
know,
it.
it was really good.
Worth watching still.
Well, I mean, you like watching, the Judgment Day. So if it's like heel Rock cutting a promo.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, like now that the SmackDown promo happened.
Well,
was it made redundant by it or anything?
It wasn't made redundant. It was a supplementary promo in which he he very much tried to square the circle of the plot hole of Cody just giving him the shot.
Okay.
They sort of tried to do that a little bit here as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a very good explanation, but it's the best one they've done yet, and it wasn't on TV.
Like,
I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm over it, but...
Cody loves the business so goddamn much that he was going to do it for the fans, but The Rock was lying. That's what I'm getting from
Yeah, that's
his
basically...
ears, didn't he? So.
Yeah.
It's like, you love the business. We were all born into the business. Me, you, Cody, all born into this business. It was kind of 2013 authority ... but good.
Yeah.
Where the whole idea was you should have put the business before your personal needs. There's a good sign-off line as well. Not as good as one on SmackDown.
Effing and Jeffing as well. That's great. Anyway.
The Rock swearing by the way, is it's just good. Wrestlers don't usually say the F word.
No.
So when they do, it's powerful to me.
The Rock's locked in as a wrestler as well, isn't he?
Oh, he's the best.
Some of this like actor special guest stuff. He's back as a wrestler.
He's just enjoying it, isn't he?
Our world, yeah.
He's got the bug.
He said that Rock called us meth heads. He talked about Cody's dog, and don't ever talk about Cody's dog. And he talked about everything, basically, he said, except the fact that Cody challenged him. He noted that The Rock didn't accept his challenge, but he spun it like a master politician. I wonder he's going to try and run for president eventually one day. And, of course, whilst we're on the topic...
And God bless the United States.
No. Not him. He said The Rock was right. They had this conversation where The Rock poured honey in his ear, told him, the people don't want Cody versus Roman. The people want me, The Rock, versus Roman. But then Cody heard everyone chanting something else. He heard it, WWE heard it, The Rock heard it, and they chant it. And he said, and that's when he started calling us crybabies. And he asked if there was any in the crowd, and people were like, yeah, I'm a proud crybaby. He said The Rock's presented an entirely different challenge, one that involves Seth, his friend. So let's bring him out. Fans obviously love hearing all that. He talked about Seth having his back several times already. He said, look, there was a moment when I thought I wouldn't be on WrestleMania. You won the Rumble. And then he saw that stupid PowerPoint slide with The Rock and Rome's family saying they're all better than them, basically. And he changed his mind because he won the Royal Rumble and it was his right to wrestle for the title. He said, Seth, despite having an injury, you're obviously going to defend your title against Drew McIntyre, who's the only other guy to pin him since returning other than Roman Reigns. And therefore, he fully understands if Seth wants to focus on Drew and isn't on board with having Cody's back. And Seth says, look, I respect you for giving me the out, but I'll take care of Drew. I told him last week, I told the entire world there are some things that are bigger than them, and taking down the bloodline is the biggest thing they can do. It's not just Cody's story that must be finished, it's Seth's too. 10 years ago, he and Reigns came in and wanted to take power from the top and give it back to the people, but Reigns wants to keep it all for himself. Here's the problem. They are this close. With The Rock in the bloodline, they are this close to Reigns having absolute power. As for The Rock, Seth, kind of over him. He hasn't been The Rock for a long time. Damn sure hasn't been the People's Champ for a long time. So he's going to call him something else. He's got a new name for him. Diarrhea Dwayne. Because he's been running his mouth and everything that comes out of it has the consistency of wet baby poop, which I thought was really funny. The crowd.
Yeah, it was a drizzling isn't it?
Yeah.
Crowd chant diarrhea. And he says The Rock gets on Instagram for 21 minutes and he's got the gall to go on there and insult Cody's dog and say he can make the World Heavyweight Championship just go away with a snap of his fingers because he's Seth's boss. Seth dares him to try. He also says that he made pro wrestling cool again. The Rock, the savior, basically. He saved them. He made it cool. Diarrhea Dwayne hasn't been cool in 20 years. You know what is cool, though?
Is this cool?
Is this cool?
Do I look cool? Do I? Like hanging upside down, his neon yellow jacket. Do I? Do I look cool? Please tell me, do I look cool?
He said what is cool is the fact he received 100% medical clearance even this morning. He's ready to go. So this Friday he's going to be at SmackDown to confront the Bloodline. But does Cody have his back? And the crowd chant yes. And Cody says he's also got a message for The Rock. It's been a long time since The Rock hasn't just been handed something. Quite possibly since he had that $7, Nicholas. Cody's not the same man as The Rock. He'll come to SmackDown with Seth, stand in the ring across from the whole bloodline in the great state of Texas. And this Friday, he's going to go face-to-face and give him a very clear and obvious answer for what's happening at WrestleMania. An opening show promo, but they're, of course, goated now.
Well, now, what's happened? But, like, not great. Not anywhere near as good as either Rock and Roman promo on SmackDown. So you're already pairing the two off and you think, oh, these couple of losers. That's less than ideal.
It's way less than ideal.
Cody's pretty great. Thing is, obviously WWE's so class with all these overlapping stories that I actually like what's happening with Seth and Drew. And I like that element of it. So him celebrating being cleared and then the stuff he got with Drew later on, the belt, really into that. And I like it when Seth's talking about that to do with this. when he speaks about, and it's not just how lame the diarrhea Dwayne thing is, because if you were going to be really generous, you would say, well, he's trying to satirize The Rock, but he's just completely fumbled the delivery. I don't think that was the case, by the way. But if you were trying to apply some generosity here, I think that would be some people's take. They're wrong. It was just
cool. That's copium.
Yeah, it was just a useless line by a performer that's not good enough to get that across. Just a bit of a come down from The Rock and Roman, from the Killers in the Jungle, realistically.
Yes. Killers in the Jungle are goated.
I want to, so Friday SmackDown was the first time I felt like Roman was back on The Rock's level, personally. And next task is to see how these two look when they're all physically together again. I wasn't really thinking that Seth was as out of his depth as some people were until he spoke on the subject. So this was the sort of the opposite of effective for me,
This was honestly really, really bad. Really, really not good at all. The Killers in the Jungle on SmackDown are a megastar act. That noise, I was saying on the preview yesterday, Hamflet, I thought you were a complete buffoon for your desire to fly to Las Vegas. New
Orleans for Punker and Cody.
I wanted to be in that building on Friday.
Yeah, man.
It was so goddamn great. The other heels, they're the ones you're meant to hate. Jesus Christ. This was a pretty bad inverse of what that was. Really funny patter from The Rock to this criminal patter from Seth Rollins.
You know what he needed? Soundboard. So if he just said, I got a new name for The Rock, I'm going to call him, pick a number,
6.
I've just got to get rid of this. I should really pay for the full app. 6. I'm going to call him Diarrhea Dwayne. Oh, it's not playing.
Mercifully.
Oh, wait, maybe it's come through this. Oh, no. I have to restart the app. Problems with Fart World, clearly.
Well, you've made Seth's promo look better. So.
Well, you threw me off my game. So the idea...
Problems with Fart World. Fart World sounds like the tag team.
Restart your phone because, the bits...
Restart the whole thing, yeah.
Because the bit's so good that I think people want to hear it now.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly I do.
Did you not have this back for a segment later in the show?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah, double app.
Double use.
Right, let's try again. This was really, really bad for more than one reason. First of all, these two together are just not as cool as Rock and Roman. Eventually, as we know of the wrestling audience, this is a tried and true theory. They don't gravitate. The cool thing about, the wonderful thing about Revolution is the Sting thing, the ceremony, the reaction, the atmosphere, the sentiment. That's an aberration in 2024, and that's why it worked so much in 2024. Fans do not gravitate towards heroes. They gravitate towards stars. It has been this case all the time. Seth Rollins, compared to The Rock, is even more of a geek. And I know it's me saying it, okay? Even more of a complete and utter geek. So the contrast already, before they even say a word, is kind of less than ideal, but maybe they've got the audience where they need them to be in terms of how they need to react, for the dynamic, maybe. And then, as Hamflet says, he speaks. It was a terrible idea to riff for WWE or anybody associated with WWE to, and I got a little bit angry, and it's probably misplaced. There are probably more things to worry about in this world. The idea of anyone associated with WWE mocking anybody else associated with WWE for mocking, checks notes, a 20-minute promo. Are you taking the piss? What's, do some math. What's 20 times, basically, how many 20-minute promos have I watched on WWE television since 2000, 1999, 2000?
52 a year. Times
times
24.
SmackDown.
Oh, yeah. It's 104 a year times 24-ish.
24 times 20 times...
I don't know.
102.
104.
104,
Let's say
sorry.
52 weeks a year, but twice.
49,920 minutes.
2 seconds. I do have a button for this.
Time to sing, mate. Yeah.
Oh, come on. What a self-own. What a complete and utter self-own. On the subject of which...
Sort of a great long-length YouTube video we could put out on 49,000 minutes, just leave it streaming the whole time. Never bad.
Shut up. I'm getting thrown off my game here. right? So that annoyed me. A really dumb cell phone. And on the subject of cell phones, this Seth Rollins thing, oh my God, right? I've seen the copium. I have seen the bargaining, right, of he said Diarrhea Dwayne to parody The Rock's terrible patter of the last 20 years, right? Even if that was the intention, and I do not believe for a second that was the case, the thing is, when Seth Rollins is like, I'm kind of over The Rock, he's not The Rock anymore. Did he watch it on Friday, Seth? Because he is.
Yeah.
He is. Like, you're going to have to find something else to bury The Rock for other than his bad material, because that take has aged quite badly because The Rock is so unbelievably dialed in. You cannot, at this point, if you're the babyface, in this sort of meta way of scripting a promo or trying to get across that there's conflict or whatever, you can't go for his power anymore. He is heel Hollywood Rock again, and he's pretty tits, and if you don't really believe that, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I know comedy's subjective, but it's just his delivery, his presence, his aura.
Ewan was coming in talking about it today.
He's
a wrestling fan.
He's back. Like, The Rock is back. So you can't say he's doing the old STD to Baron Corbin stuff or the, Kung Pao bitch. And that Rock is kind of dead, and the new one's the new old one is back, and he's class, right? The way Seth Rollins delivered Diarrhea Dwayne, it was in his absolutely horrendous. One of the most, for me, cringeworthy experiences of my life was 2019, Seth Rollins, when he was standing up for WWE and he was entrusted with that belt on Raw, welcoming you all to Raw. And at the time, it was bigger than SmackDown because the Fox thing only happened in October. So the idea was Seth Rollins was the guy in 2019. And look how bad that year went, okay?
Stomping grounds.
Yeah.
A three-sided building. And
yeah.
Didn't even get on the poster.
No, put Roman on instead.
Do we know who does a stomp?
I recall with a chill down my goddamn spine, my arsehole like clenching in pain, is when Seth, who is the top guy in WWE for that period, is resuming his feud with Brock Lesnar ahead of SummerSlam.
Just do it again. Don't many, but do it again.
Yeah. And he does this Rock adjacent, I'm a stand-up comedian, I have to play the room, I have to do some zingers. That's what a top guy in WWE looks like for some reason. And he does this. And he's trying to do an impression of Brock Lesnar. And he's like, he always looks like this. And he does this with his eyes and face. That Brock Lesnar, he's a real Godzilla-looking bastard, if you ask me. It's like, that is the worst patter. That is the worst patter until last night. What I'm trying to get around is he was not doing the parody of there was no sarcasm detected in his voice when he said,
let me just think of a really funny line.
Yeah.
And then he delivers it. Zinger.
The way it was delivered, right, was exactly in that haunting 2019 cadence.
Yeah.
He didn't do any sarcasm. If he was delivering that line as a piss take of The Rock, he would have done it as a piss take of The Rock. Or if he was so bad at promos and so bad at comedy, right, that he couldn't deliver it like that, he should have made the choice, the acting choice of just total derision. Diarrhea Dwayne's been at it again. He would have loved that one.
3 rubbish names to show how easy and fake feel.
Yes, exactly. There's a million ways he could have done it if the idea was to parody how bad The Rock's patter used to be, isn't anymore. Utterly terrible. You'll never convince me in a million years that he himself, or the character as it was meant to be scripted, that was meant to be funny. You cannot, after the tour de force that was The Rock's promo on Friday, accuse The Rock of having terrible material and being over The Rock and he's not the same Rock anymore, using a line that Brian Gewirtz himself would have said, oh, that's not any good. What a monumental self-own. Seth Rollins shouldn't be doing this. He was terrible at it in 2019. It's not why people like him. He doesn't have a funny bone in his goddamn body, right? This is all kinds of... I don't think it's catastrophic or disastrous, but my God, any more of this and that tide will turn.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Him and Cody together could not have looked more like a pair of geeks. And that breaks my heart because Cody already you're seeing the byproduct of pairing him with The Rock, having The Rock back, and Seth Rollins is his sort of like double act. Bad decision making here.
I feel like with Cody and Seth, it's a bit like, so when there was this Rock and Roman worry that people had, I don't know if they were really worried, but like, is all his heat going to be gone come main event time? And I was thinking, no, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes is going to be massive. Like on night 2, singles match, it's going to be huge. And I feel the same about Cody and Seth. Like, whereas Rock might be diminishing Roman by accident, Seth might be diminishing by the nature of this current friendship. I don't think it's going to matter come night 2 at all. I don't think it's going to be a problem for Cody Rhodes. But, yeah, there's that Blade Runner advert they made. I was buying that. 4 of them come head to head, and I was like...
That's because Seth Rollins wasn't talking.
Yeah.
I'm not being funny.
Effectively like a really impressive jumped-up match graphic, pretty much. But in that moment, I'll buy it, and there's been plenty of matches before where one person is an objectively bigger star than somebody else, and that's all right, because then that one elevates that one and that. But the whole point is the one that's getting elevated rises up to the level, and this was nowhere even close.
Not a fan of... Let's try it one more time. Diarrhea Dwayne. Real problems at Fart World, clearly. I'll look into it.
World.
What if that was like coming through to the people listening and we just can't hear the farts?
Oh, yeah. You get the fart? Yeah, sweet.
So the viewers and the listeners are getting the farts, we're just not getting the farts. Right.
Ah.
That's a sort of worst case scenario, isn't it? Especially for Nicholas.
Sid, give us a number.
9.
Okay, let's try this again. I could just pick that one up. Really faint one. Diarrhea Dwayne for you. One of the other things we want to talk about before we go any further is something we set up yesterday.
Indeed, yesterday we came to the conclusion that
You don't know about this, do you?
No.
Adam Wilborn,
No.
because he was talking about how, you've got like Cody finishing the story, Jimmy and Jay, brothers collide. Gunther, can he hold on to that title for yet more time? Yeah. You got Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley, huge.
Normally
Bayley.
I don't like it when you look dead into my eyes, but I'm loving this.
Bayley versus Io Sky.
Yeah.
Santos and Ray.
Santos and Ray, grudges, high stakes, championships.
Personal issues draw money.
But
Yep.
you need, and I said this to Wilborn, I'm familiar with the concept of range.
Yeah.
You just need some range on the show.
Agree.
Okay? And so when he kept saying, why so serious? I went, Wilborn, what are you, the Joker? And then I had an epiphany. No, he's not the Joker because Jim Carrey in the 1995 film Batman Forever,
Yeah.
he played the Riddler.
He did.
And Jim Carrey is Adam Wilborn's personal hero.
Yep.
Therefore, in the What Culture Wrestling version of the Riddler, he's the Riddler. And we present to you now, Michael Hamflett, the Raw Riddle. So the Raw Riddle, which is a naked exercise in listener retention and viewer retention. Thanks for watching on YouTube. is we'll give you the riddle on the Raw preview on Mondays.
Yeah.
And we'll only give you the solution on Tuesdays.
And
It's an inspired idea.
I'll knock together a jingle for it next week.
Okay.
But for now,
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
the Raw Riddle.
I like the alliteration, Sitch.
2's okay.
That's why I thought Diarrhea Dwayne was that was so bad because it got past your alliteration, but it was just so bad it was.
Yeah.
So we had the dry run of what gets wetter as it dries.
A towel.
Correct. But I asked.
That was just to familiarise the listeners with the concept of a riddle.
Of course, yeah.
But I asked you and the listeners yesterday, Sige. What has to be broken before you can use it?
Ooh. I've got something. It's like when you're always missing, but when Stacks comes in.
Oh yeah,
Sort of like confer
well, I see him.
over
I see him on Tuesdays usually.
Yeah.
I know the answer to this.
You know the answer.
So you can't confer, I'm sorry.
Right. I was going to say a fortune cookie.
Oh.
It's good. It's not right.
You can have three guesses.
Three guesses, yeah.
It's the rules.
Broken before you can use it. Is this like a sort of a parable about like true love? And is it your heart? First breakup kind of teaches you what you might want, and then you kind of go on. And it's not that.
It's not that.
It is literally Hamlet. And not the first time I've said this to you on the Raw review.
Yes.
It is not that deep.
What gets broken before you can use it? The seal on a bottle.
I said seal.
Who was also on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Yes.
With Kiss from a Rose.
No. Well, it has to be broken before you can use it. The answer is an
Egg.
There you go. And that's this week's riddle.
Everything's spooky now, isn't it? Tony Storm was spooky last week.
Yeah, she was, wasn't she?
She's timeless.
We got Gunther versus Dirty Dom in a non-title match next.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I felt a bit sorry for...
It was a good show trying to break out of this.
Yeah.
Good show.
I felt sorry for Ospreay and Takeshita because it was like, we had two super workers doing a match of the year candidate on Sunday, and now it's been superseded already. It's like, come on. Before the match, Michael Cole congratulated Sting on his retirement. I did like the bit where Pat McAfee was like, yeah, great match as well. And Michael was, yeah, shut up.
Was that good?
Yeah. I'm a right wanker, me, says Dominik Mysterio, slaps Gunther and tries to do the whole cat and mouse thing. And
I mean, that's great.
Yeah. Get here. Chops him. Keeps chopping him. In the end, JD McDonough, who's there at ringside, distracts him, and Gunther chops the post on the outside to take us to a break. When we come back, Gunther's battering him. He rips his shirt open and keeps hitting him so hard with chops, he just flies off his feet each time. Again, JD interferes or distracts Gunther. That allows Dominik Mysterio to take over on Intercontinental Champion Gunther with a springboard dive. He set up for a 619, but Gunther took his head off with a clothesline. He's got the match won, but he goes, nah, I'm not finished with this proper wanker yet. Goes to do the big power bomb. Dom countered into a sunset flip cradle
Oh my God.
for a near fall. Hit a 619, but then Gunther dodged the frog splash, drop kicked him out of his boots, power bomb, Boston Crab, and Dom taps immediately.
So much to love about this. So much. So what we learned on this, by the way, was this NWOB team that has occurred with Dominik Mysterio and JD McDonough Judgment Day applies to what fans think as well, because you had the Imperium Judgment Day split and the babyface heel alignment was different in each match. They know what they like out of each sort of member. And Gunther, I think, just when we thought, oh yeah, he can do absolutely everything, he is ready one day. I'm booking the WWE Universal title like we sort of used to talk about the AEW one. I'm planning the next champion and then the champion that beats that champion. I'm getting to Cody, then I want to get to Gunther. And here we had sort of a version of what made Gunther so magic on the indies, which was he's a heel, but there's such a joy to watching him slap people about. Like that element of the act can be a babyface act against the right heel. And this was the first time we've seen that in WWE, and it was magic. Like the fans having this release of getting to enjoy Gunther's brand of violence, not on somebody that they desperately want to see beat him, was a whole new way to enjoy Gunther. And that's pretty useful, knowing the kind of run he's likely to have. So that was fantastic. Dominik Mysterio, this was the first time in a while where I've enjoyed his sloppy execution making the match. I don't mean the botch that Gunther gave him a punishment chop for. That was just class. Yeah. But that reversal, it was imperfect, but in that way that when like Dominik was really starting to figure things out as a heel, like the imperfections made it. Like he almost slips and then he grabs on the way and he flips for that like that powerbomb element of it. And you're like, I'll have this then. I'm a right wanker, mate. I'll take that. Like there was a real desperation to the counter, which is how it should be in a Dominik Mysterio Gunther match. There was just nothing. There was no faults to find here. This was great booking, great matchmaking, and the exact way you would have agented it. Like, just, I will watch this again probably. I really enjoyed this.
For the first time in a while, Dominik Mysterio being mechanically quite useless was a feature and not a bug. Whereas in the previous weeks and months, I get it. I get the whole meta element of it all. But I just think he's made so many shocking in-ring decisions. Like, so that the difference between that spot, which was awesome. Basically, he tried to do something by the top turnbuckle. I was like, oh, I'll just try that again. And Gunther went, no, you won't, you little prick. And just chopped him to death. is so much different to and better than the terrible, terrible execution of the 619 on Kevin Owens on SmackDown last week, because Kevin Owens, like, you had to sell for that. Probably shouldn't have, but, you know, that's the rules. Gunther just kind of broke them. It was great. No, this is a really, really good version of the little puke. The little puke just gets his ass kicked match, and because it was quite a well-told story, very unusual for WWE this, but I quite enjoyed it all the same. The idea of Dominik getting an opening on Gunther, on the face of it, is ridiculous. But the idea that Gunther was so livid at this, the initial slap at him running away, was like he made some unforced errors because the red mist just clouded his like usual strategy and sound judgment. Had loads of fun with this. Like loads and loads of fun with this.
Yeah, great. Really enjoyable. After that, Postman Pearce is walking backstage. Here comes Damage Control. And he's like, what the hell are you doing here? And Dakota Kai says, we've got every right to be here. Kairi Sane and Asuka are tag champs across both brands, of course. And he says, last time you were here called Bloody Havoc. Kai said, well, look, we're only here to scout Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark. Nothing insidious. And then Shinsuke Nakamura comes up to Pearce and says, we need to talk. He says, like, I know. I've got a big announcement with the IC title later. Come into my office, sort of thing. We see Andrade showing up at the arena, and then we get the tag match that Damage Control were talking about. Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark versus Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. And Carter and Chance beforehand said, we're going to stop partying briefly. Bloody love to party, but we're getting back in title contention. And then they lost to Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark. I did like the fact that Damage Control sat on the announce desk. And Pat McAfee was like, I can't see the match, basically. They go to a break early on. When they come back, Chance and Carter are in control. They start with a double Spanish fly, get a 2 count off the back of that. And they manage to hit their after-party finisher on Zoey Stark. Baszler pulls Carter out of the ring, puts her in the Kirifuda clutch, and Stark uses the distraction to roll up Katana Chance and get the 1, 2, 3. Post-match, Damage Control slide into the ring, and Dakota Kai says, look, Asuka and Kairi have got their big title match on NXT Roadblock. Beep, down the bloody road. Tonight, of course. After that, Zoe and Shayna will get their tag title shot next week, and Damage Control are going to win again, and you'll cry just like Bayley cries. And they get into each other's faces, and Shayna Baszler says it's about damn time.
Heatless, it always is. But I didn't think this match was all that bad.
No, it's pretty crap.
They've obviously spent a little bit less time in the club.
Yeah.
So I hope they don't go like drown their sorrows in it, and they just keep working at it, because I thought this was one of the better Chance and Carter matches. But it's the inverse of everything else WWE at the moment. There's a match on this show later on that was pretty bad, if I'm being honest. But it was so over in the building, and I can like separate the two things. One of my favorite wrestlers at the moment is kind of having a pretty lousy singles run, and yeah, I really like watching him and can't wait to see him live. That's where WWE's at with.
Who's that?
Jey Uso. There's so many of its talents at the moment. That's where it's at. This match was sort of the opposite. Like, there was flashes of decent work here, playing out to virtual silence, and this was just bad storytelling. Oh, like this match that we're going to have at Roadblock, when we've done with that, we'll fight you guys next week, and we'll be done with that too.
Yeah, but
they've set up like on SmackDown last week when you have Jade Cargill interacting. Like, well, hang on, so there's a tag title match. It's infinitely more interesting than the 2 you've already got. So like, why should I give a toss about either of these? And it's not like we're enjoying the NXT relationship
Bird
between
Person and Dennis the Menace team. You know,
like Taint and Paxton and Lyra Valkyria is funny to us, but you've just brushed right past that to get to another match which you are brushing right past. It's not good booking.
I thought this was not good wrestling. I thought this is not good professional wrestling. No, shut up, man. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. This is really poor. Like, it's an incredibly unfair comparison to draw, but when you cover the 2 mainstream companies as part of your job, and you see something that had no real emotional current to it or whatever, but probably the best executed athletic match you'll see in ages in Takeshita Ospreay. Then you watch this literally 24 hours later. There was no heat whatsoever. It's just impossible. Like, everything gets brought into focus when there's no reaction to anything. Like, every bit of hesitation. Just felt virtually every single spot, there was that We're ready for this one? Yeah, do it. Are they about to do a sequence? Are we ready for that bump? You take this? Yeah. Just that hesitation every single step of the way. And that tag team finish. There's a bit of drama with Shayna breaking it up by dragging, it was a chance off the pin.
I think so, yeah.
My goodness. What the actual concept behind that finishing move is so unbelievably stupid. So it's kind of got that rude awakening set up, and then what is it? 450? What's the move called?
The party
After party.
The after party.
It's an unnecessary bit of acrobatics. The proper Spanish fly they do is a better finisher.
The after party. So got the rude awakening set up. So she's doing a 450 splash on someone who is leaning at a 10-degree angle?
Yeah.
If that. So the actual collision is so unbelievably awkward. And the whole point, the whole thought process, the logic behind doing an aerial maneuver like that is you generate momentum, you land at this really big, fast speed, and then the opponent is winded so much so that they kind of catch their breath and lift up the shoulder. You're meant to wind your opponent. That's the whole point of it. It's just an awkward collision of limbs. I mean, it probably hurts, but it can't. It'll hurt the person. It'll hurt Katana Chance just as much as it'll hurt Zoey Stark. It's just piss poor, and this is just crap. And this women's division, this tag team women's division in WWE is putrid. Yeah. They don't do a goddamn thing to generate the volume in this building.
Miserable segment.
I was relieved by the fact that I was talking to Nicholas before we came in here about this. I was relieved by the fact that they said, right, we're going to, because they've sort of speed run this Damage Control title reign. And I was seeing them holding it past Mania, and I was like, they'll probably do, I don't know, Stark and Baszler, which is not going to, she's going to die at WrestleMania, but is what it is. And now I'm excited again because I assume Naomi's going to team with Jade Cargill because Naomi seems to be getting jobbed out in singles matches. So
yeah, I guess
that'll be an exciting match. I'm excited for that one. So I've turned it around.
Not really. So
jury's out. Jade, I'm excited about. Jade finding a partner for the tag belts, but I think they're just such a terrible job with Naomi that I wouldn't.
They did a great one with Jade Cargill.
Well, no, all right, but she's only wrestled her once and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So could she pick Bianca?
Maybe, yeah.
Jade and Bianca versus Kabuki Warriors for the belts. Watch that.
I'd watch that. I'm going. So.
So backstage, the Judgment Day are taking care of Dominik, who's icing his chest and what have you. In comes Andrade, who says, all right, Dom, see you soon. They're all a bit wary of what's going on here. And Dom's like, hey, guys, be cool. We could use him in the future. And then Priest says, right, it's your job to take care of Gunther Jade.
Andrade. Write that down.
JD, it's your job to take care of Gunther. Whilst me and Finn take care of the rest of Imperium. JD's like, I'm doing what now? Fun little segment.
What did he say?
He was like, right.
No, what did you say? I missed the last 10 seconds.
He said, right, JD, it's your job to take care of Gunther. We'll take care of the rest of Imperium. And JD was like, I'm doing what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Didn't seem happy about it or confident whatsoever, basically. But he's going to, we'll get to what he's going to be in due course. Then we got Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax. Nia Jax dominated early on. Lynch chop block to hit a missile drop kick. Tried to dive off the apron, but Jax caught her in it. Samoan drop on the outside to take us to break. When we come back, this time Lynch is trying for a superplex, but Jax drops her off the apron. Drops her off the turnbuckle, and hits a middle rope diving leg drop for 2. Jax went for a big punch, but Becky ducked, hit a molly go round for 2. Jax came back with a Samoan drop, but Lynch dodges an annihilator and Nia hurts her hole. Lynch puts a disarmer on, transitions into an armbar, but Nia rolls them outside of the ring and sends her into the barricade. And then all of a sudden, here comes Liv Morgan. She jumps off the barricade, attacks Nia Jax, just like Becky Lynch did last week. DQ, another win for Nia Jax over Becky Lynch. Liv and Becky argue. That allows Jax to knock them both down, pull them out. sends Becky into the post and leg drops Liv Morgan, and then Nia Jax grabs some bloke's hat on the way out for some reason.
Yeah, this is all crap, and thus a bit of me, if I'm honest. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say the action was particularly good, but it was super heated. I really like watching Nia Jax and Becky Lynch wrestle each other, even when it's quite sloppy in execution, and it was here. But I don't know. I'm a lifelong subscriber to the law between these two, I think is what it is. And I enjoyed the booking before, like, to get Nia Jax to Elimination Chamber enough that I kind of buy into this. I almost want Nia to keep this streak over Becky, for Becky to win the belt and have to beat her in her first title shot. I feel like that's where it might be going. And I don't mind I'm not as fussy about finishes being thrown out if there's a storyline driver at the heart of it, and Becky Lynch last week and Liv Morgan this week is that driver. I'm not one of these people campaigning to put Liv Morgan in the Rhea Ripley Becky Lynch match and make it a triple threat or something.
Oh God,
but get out, which I've seen. But again, I think you're in the process now of setting up challenges for after WrestleMania, and Liv Morgan's like, she might not be for me as her, like, Stan seem to think she's like this big star in waiting or whatever, but they have sort of been loyal to her story of this long, like, sort of revenge mission she's on that ultimately ends in Rhea Ripley, and now Becky Lynch is like a fork in that road. I don't mind it, even if I'm not necessarily as big a fan and don't see it in Liv Morgan as much as people do. I remember when they went quite hard with her as the babyface in that Christmas series with Becky Lynch, and the promos and matches didn't really deliver. I've not forgotten that, but I'd like give it a try. Like, give this push a go, and I didn't mind any of this as a result.
I didn't really enjoy this. So that's probably the takeaway that I have, right? I don't really enjoy it. There's this weird thing with Nia Jax where I understand to tell the only, like, logical story, and the story you should be telling with a character and a wrestler like Nia Jax. Everything kind of flowed nicely into the next, like, plot point of the match, and the structure was like, everything that should happen in a Nia Jax match happened. And you should have a degree of, it shouldn't look great. Like, she shouldn't be doing really clean bumps. She should be flailing and staggering and getting brought to one knee and all the rest of it. I still don't think Nia Jax is particularly good at that. Do you know what I mean?
Becky was good for the desperation stuff.
Yeah.
She always works from underneath with Nia very well.
Like, Nia's stuff shouldn't look good nor clean, which is it's hard for people to grasp with what so much other wrestling looks like in 2024.
Her leg drop is a good example of that, I think.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what's she doing up there? And then she just hits it. The damage is enough. It doesn't need to look like a Bobby Eaton one or something like that. Like it's arch or whatever.
So it can't look good by design almost, but I still don't think it looks or feels good enough for what they are really going for. Contrarians kind of love this program. I get it, but, like, praising a hoss for laying out a match or being in a laid out match, that's the first thing they get told at wrestling school. It feels weird to me. Like, where's the bar? Where's the bar really?
After this, I'll do this in a weird order because it makes sense going forward. Liv Morgan's backstage. Becky Lynch runs up, pissed off, obviously. And Liv's like, oh, you can dish it out, but you can't take it. Becky wants to have a fight, basically. Liv's more than happy to, and they announce Liv versus Becky next week. And Becky bumps into Rhea Ripley, who just laughs in her face.
Big test of what Liv Morgan's really got here. Becky Lynch has got enough of these matches now where she's carried far worse. And she's had matches of lower stakes than this that have been better. Has Liv got it? Like, this is the biggest thing she feels like she's been involved in for a while. It'll be a proving ground for a win, lose, or draw. I think it's like a big week for Liv Morgan next week.
It is. I haven't seen it so far.
Right, let's talk Intercontinental Championship, because prior to that, Ricochet had confronted Postman Pearce in his office. He said he's kept quiet, but closed mouths don't get fed around here.
God, just go to catering. In fact, I think you've got a pretty good idea of where it is.
Yeah.
If you're that bloody hungry.
You've been eating every week since SummerSlam.
There's like 2 instances of people being hungry on this show. We're going to get to another one in a bit. But Pearce is like,
It's a curse.
Oh no, it's a hex on my life.
All the wrestler WhatsApp groups across both companies. I'm thinking I might say I'm starving. Like, all the emojis firing, heart,
Yeah.
thumbs up.
rubbish. Anyway, Pierce says, I haven't forgotten about you. I've got a plan that's going to satisfy everyone, including Gunther, anyone who wants an IC title shot. And in comes Judgment Day, and they're like, hey, JD McDonough should fight him at WrestleMania. Plead your case, JD. And he sort of tries as they go to a commercial. Then we got the Liv Morgan Becky thing. And then Postman Pearce announced that there is going to be a gauntlet match next week on Raw to determine the one person, thank goodness for that is going to challenge Gunther at WrestleMania. Before I run through the people, what a relief, by the way, it's a singles match.
Yes, and I must do this. Hold my hands up. I was very cynical about the potential outcome of the various teasers when there's a lot of wrestlers who want this Intercontinental title. I genuinely thought that they were going to do some complete cop-out of a like a six-pack challenge or something along those lines at WrestleMania. Or ladders and Gunther. It's like, why? Yeah. Why would you want to do that? It's like giving a great workman a crap tool. But no, they are going for a one-on-one. They're just threading a pretty unpredictable way of getting there. There's at least two very likely winners. But no, I'm happy with this choice. And I shouldn't have doubted them.
There's the worry last week replaced by a much smaller worry, because I still think the match would be good. But because last year's Triple Threat was so successful, they might ignore the individual components of why that was so successful and not have to make the difficult choice of Sami Zayn or Chad Gable and go again with a workers three-way. I still think it would be class, but they're dealing with a very different hand than last year. Yes. So I just wonder if in their mind, they'd think, oh, that was unbelievable, so we can go again with that because it's Gable and Sami Zayn. Like with those are the last two and there's been an exhausting gauntlet or whatever. So I'd still rather a singles, and I'd just rather them be bold. Make a choice. Yes. And then whoever's won that has got the commitment of the booking and thus the conviction.
Let's talk about it then. Let's talk about this gauntlet, because you've got, like you say, you've got Sami Zayn, you've got Chad Gable, Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bronson Reed, and JD McDonough. How would you plot it out then?
If you honestly like showing the courage of conviction going with a Chad Gable, because I think that's a gutsier decision than Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is amazing. People love him. I love him. But in WWE terms, he's a safe bet. He's fought for the world title before. He's at that level. Main event last year.
You could plug him in at any point after WrestleMania in any title picture and everybody would buy it.
We cannot pretend that it's Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. He is a safer bet in that spot and less of a gamble. So I have Gable go the whole distance. Sami Zayn as a mid-range point, giving him the hardest of the matches. And then possibly JD McDonough or Nakamura as the heel that's going to pick up the scraps at the end, who the Gable then beats anyway. Okay. Like, it's not, you don't beat Zayn last in that setting, I don't think, because the last thing you want is some fans in the building just earnestly rather than Zayn wins, and Gable's absolutely knackered and exhausted, and then Zayn's like lining him up for a louver kick. Like, that's where, like, you just want them to have a super competitive one, maybe match 3 for Gable. Okay. So Zayn lets him rest, gets him back to his feet, then it's a good, clean fight. Gable's somehow gutted through, and then that's what I would do.
How do you see it going, Sige?
If it was up to me, I would have Sami Zayn open it, beats 2 people, Gable beats him, respectful handshake, and then Gable do the sweep beyond that. It would have to be, I think Gunther versus Chad Gable is just, we had Gunther versus Sami Zayn on Raw last year, correct?
Yeah.
And we had Chad Gable versus Gunther. One was significantly better than the other, and I love and very, very, very highly rate Sami Zayn. But I think it's Chad Gable's a better story. Sami Zayn has that quality where he'll be forever over. He's taken seriously. He's made where Chad Gable isn't, and I think you've got the chance to make someone else than Chad Gable's the guy to do it. The only argument in favour for me of pushing Sami Zayn is that people forget Roman Reigns has always been, well, since 2020, certainly a huge star, maybe even the deciding factor in the war. AEW was kind of getting ahead for 2 weeks, but Roman Reigns has been the centerpiece of that company and has, in part, in no small part, led it to the boom period. On top of a very good baseline number that Raw and SmackDown were doing, Sami Zayn heightened it ahead of Elimination Chamber last year. people are interested in seeing that man in a real starring role. So maybe the business case makes a lot more sense in the case of Sami Zayn. For my subjective tastes, it would be Chad Gable. I just think the guy's absolutely incredible and really deserves what Sami Zayn got last year, and that is that feature-length, incredible, unforgettable WrestleMania match. Chad Gable hasn't had it. He was awesome in the showcase as well. He really I just think the man deserves it. You know what? He deserves more than that. This idea that you can have one great match at WrestleMania, and then that's you. Yeah. But why? He's so talented. He should be getting like loads and loads of profile. It would be Chad Gable for me. Can I tell you something?
Go on.
You asked us the question, and I answered it half-heartedly. You might have taken. I hate gauntlet matches. I hate gauntlet matches, and I'm almost worried about this one. Next week, is it?
Next week, yeah.
The WWE have on occasion really enjoyed doing these gauntlet matches because it's a lot of TV time to fill with not much work from the creative side of things. Obviously, the wrestlers are grafting. To what end? To what end? You know what struck me? We were talking about this around the desks in the office earlier, right? Can you remember, was it 2018, that Seth Rollins classic breakthrough moment when he worked for, what was it, an hour and a half or something?
3 years after he had the belt for like 6 months.
Yes. Like that. How long was he in that ring for?
I want to say it was like 1 hour, pulling this out of my ass, 1 hour 28 maybe.
I'll say, because he's going to check up and we can't play the game.
Yeah.
Save your answer. You'll just change it. He's going to do it. That match and that angle, that vehicle for Seth Rollins, right, was forgotten about so quickly. At the time, if you recall, people were talking about it as if it was nothing short of one of the great individual performances in professional wrestling history.
Yeah.
This amazing Iron Man stint, this wonderful in-ring craftsmanship, how he got the crowd the entire time. I don't even think they were that loud. I thought it was just the longest Seth Rollins match of all time, personally, right? Think about this, right? That was so forgotten about as this classic moment. Like, the whole idea of a classic moment is that it's meant to endure forever. I don't think I have seen a single engagement count whose role it is, for some reason, is to farm the easiest likes of all time. Wilborn, do you know how stacked the WWE roster was in 2008? It was really stacked, wasn't it?
I've got a Cesaro hot tag show when we get back in the office.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Jesus.
They don't even say, remember this, for easy likes. Because everyone...
Samoa Joe cooked with this.
Yeah. Everyone forgot about it. It hasn't endured as this classic moment. So my worry is that they try and do that, and I have to endure myself people going on and on and on about this great gauntlet match on Raw.
You've seen this trend recently with the...
I'm dreading people's reaction to something that might be good.
The paid blue tickers have started putting full matches on X.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if somebody like...
They don't have the attention spans
Can I
for
look
that.
like an hour and a half gauntlet, please? Like,
When I get my blue tick account for the C tweet after WrestleMania, maybe I'll do that and see what engagement.
You said SummerSlam, so that's incorrect. What I'm driving at here is that they might take a long old time to deliver a good, popular outcome. Hamlet, you said earlier that it could be a draw between Sami Zayn and Chad Gable in the end.
yeah.
Because those two characters have been the most outspoken, they've teased that they want to pursue gold around WrestleMania season. So maybe there could be some kind of draw in the works. And if you remember, Triple H loves a long match. That goes nowhere.
Yeah.
That was his entire career as a wrestler and as a booker.
Yep.
2020 NXT.
Oh, four-way,
that title had been vacated by Keith Lee, was it?
Yeah.
And they had to determine who the new champion was. I can't remember the exact specifics, but it was Gargano and it was Ciampa.
Karrion Kross.
Karrion
Got
Kross.
injured straight away.
Yeah. So it was Gargano. It was Adam Cole.
Ciampa and Balor.
Ciampa and Balor. And the idea was it was one final beat. And I still had to watch Gargano and Ciampa wrestle in the same match again.
Yeah.
They went an hour. It was the most naked star rating bait ever. And it didn't have a finish and they had to go to next week.
It was a draw.
So they could, there's precedent for this sort of thing to happen. That was another one. engagement accounts don't touch that. But at the time, I had to read about how great it was.
The irony of those gauntlets, and I loved them for a little while. The best spot in all of those gauntlets ever had nothing to do with wrestling. It was that New Day one where the Usos were like, "This is bigger than us." That was a really great bit of booking.
Yeah.
But we had to watch like 20-hour-plus long matches for that one spot. That was the only memorable thing from that entire glut of them.
So what are your guesses for Seth's performance?
I'll go 128.
I'm going to go with 122.
The whole match was 1 hour 47 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Do you remember who eliminated Seth?
So he beat
Cena,
Cena, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Elias for some reason. Bingo! But I couldn't tell you who freaking won it because I don't think Elias
I can tell you. Do you remember who won?
I don't even know what the stakes were. What was on the line?
Best wrestler.
What was the story?
I think it was just a preview of the Elimination Chamber, maybe.
That's right. It was you got whoever won. I think got the last
Because it was
release of
7.
the pod. Yeah,
There was
yeah.
7 in the chamber.
Oh, so Braun probably won it then.
Braun won it. Yes,
God
correct.
damn. 1 hour 40 gauntlet for the big man to come out and win at the end. Brilliant.
Elias did eliminate him. Seth Rollins only went 65 minutes.
Lazy.
So I've won.
Yeah, you shorter than
Lower,
him.
yeah.
So that was February
2018.
2018. So that was before Kenny went longer at Dominion. So Seth couldn't even do a copy of copies. Get in. Miss Kenny Omega, me.
I know. I'm thinking he's
I
going
was
to
thinking
come back.
about that a lot during the match during Revolution about how much I missed Kenny Omega.
We'll talk about it in the Dynamite preview.
Do I have to listen to this again?
I've already said I said to him in the office, I said, look, I'll be fair, it was better than Elimination Chamber. Can't say fairer than that, it was. So I had to sit with it for a bit. I was like, no, it was.
Of course it was, you tit.
It was better than Chamber.
I think I'm hoping Chad Gable wins, as you said, Sige, because the way they've positioned both it's between Chad and Sami. But for me, it's like Chad Gable. This is everything. It has to be the IC title match.
They'll find something for Sami.
Sami is if he loses this, the intriguing point is what the hell's he going to do at Mania? He was main event.
It's going to be a triple threat.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Could be goated as well.
Bronson Reed could be a great if Sami gets eliminated earlier. Bronson Reed is a great final one-on-one.
I thought you were about to win.
Two concurrent underdog performances where you kind of, I don't know.
What's this? Gable's hitting this line a bit too hard for my liking. Actually, it means more.
Yes.
So like he's going to scream that in Sami's face either in the Gauntlet next week or in the 3-way WrestleMania, isn't it?
Tell me they're going to do a monologue.
A monologue and then a German suplex.
Yeah.
All at once. He's monologuing while German. that slow one he does. He's like cut a promo in his ear.
It means more.
That's a spot. You can have that one.
Then we got Andrade's in-ring return against Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews hit a superplex, tried to roll through.
Remember those tiny bits of 2021 of AEW? Like, well, it's about 95% fantastic. 5% needs tweaking. Andrade, just tighten up a bit. We're back here.
Andrade
5% of the Fed. And yet again, Andrade remains the 5% of a product. And I'm like,
he hit that awesome back elbow of his for 2, and in the end hit that La Sombra DDT for the 1, 2, 3 after about 3 minutes.
Yeah, this is really funny. It was pretty mediocre, capital G, capital W, good wrestling, but Twitter was all got very cross with the idea that Will Ospreay no-sold the crunchy into the wheelbarrow German, flew into Takeshita's skull with a hidden blade. Oh, you can't do that. You cannot no-sell. Well, that's funny because on your program, Apollo Crews hit a suplex and Andrade was just like, no, I'll just do one back to you. Hang on. I thought that wasn't allowed. But we'll see. We'll see Twitter talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I try not. It's so all-consuming, the discourse and the tribalism. I have to get into it. I'm back into it now. I've got no choice. I've tried. It didn't really work.
I don't mean to hit you with the most me take ever, but the entrance was the best bit. Like I quite like his new entrance. Like this presentation of this character, more interesting than it was before. And the bell rings.
Andrade has
the elbow's still. Of course,
the elbow's still
of
absolutely
course it is.
good. Andrade has left AEW, in which he was in at least the B tier behind the really, 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 really great godlike pro wrestlers, to jump to a company the fans of which don't really care about great wrestling, and he doesn't have those intangibles, that magnetism, that huge megastar charisma, it already feels like it's just not going to work that well.
Like he's just having these bunch of mid matches, and then like Triple H, like, I don't know what to do with this guy, and Cody comes up and like, I've got a spot that got last time. Can you let me? There's no Darby Allin from Andrade in WWE. There's certain wrestlers that can have certain matches with him, but yeah. I wonder like if this is the model though, because
it's all right. They've got Dominik Mysterio.
He's going to be awesome. That one. I'm really excited for that.
There's with Jade and with Cody, I guess is the first one, but with Andrade. There's a new model emerging here of the AEW version of the wrestler coming back.
Shawn Spears?
Yeah, Shawn Spears, rather than feeling the need to like have this.
It's a good like recruitment tool.
Because you want it to feel like a jump more than sort of you re-signing something.
A good long-term play if they want someone who's great, like Ricky Starks.
Well, it made me think, would the Redeemer stand a better chance in WWE as maybe not, they'll probably call him Rusev again. There's a bit of credit there, I think, still, but fundamentally the gimmick, all the godlike promos, you put Lana back with him, all that sort of thing, made me think. Oh my God, yeah. Like, it made me think that might be the one where that works because he does just feel like we're all at a dead end with Miro and AEW, and it's sad compared to how that used to feel in 2021. But it made me think that's a move that would probably work for everybody. I think WWE's Redeemer Miro would work quite nicely.
Jackie Redmond interviewed Sami Zayn. He wanted to be champion, do something historic. The only thing standing in his way is the Gauntlet match, facing perhaps the most dominant champion ever. This match is do or die. Now the most important match of his career. And then Valhalla and Ivar show up. They can't understand why he's getting an opportunity over Ivar. Ivar knows he can beat Gunther. And he says, you definitely can't as well. And Zayn was like, I can beat you. And basically says, let's have a bare-knuckle fight then. And Ivar says, you're not going to make it to next week. And then in the locker room, Natalia's chatting to Tegan Nox. They need to get hungry, Sidge, and forget their manners.
Because her dad said that.
Yeah.
Candice LeRae's annoyed as well that...
Brett gave him the line like he gave you his music, Natalia.
Candice LeRae's annoyed that her and Indy Hartwell...
Tell me when I'm telling lies, Sidge.
How do you not tell no lies?
We've seen that.
I've seen it.
He has to say it like 6 times to remember. Go on, mind you. Imagine you're live.
Candice is annoyed that they're getting complacent, her and Indy Hartwell. Hartwell tries to be sort of reasonable. Candice like, no, I'm not having that. Maxine Dupri and Ivy Nile show up and they say, it's going to be all right. And Lorraine says, off. I don't want advice from anyone someone who's only had 3 matches and can't lace my boots. And they left.
That is how
Indy's like, sorry about her.
That is how you do the heel turn, isn't it? Like, who can we have a really loser patience with? Well, Maxine Dupree's kind of ideal at the moment. People are really into that. You know what? When she said, when we forgot your manners, Tegan Nox just said, your table manners. Another Jim Neidhart reference.
Yeah, Jim the Table Neidhart. I remember that. It was unbelievable.
What were
they thinking, man?
I'm going to put you through a
Daddy's
table.
crying again.
That shouldn't have been allowed.
But like in the ring, setting up the table and putting her on top of it. Dad.
Remember him?
Hello. It's funny. Not on.
No, it's not on.
But wrestling's about odd visuals, and that was sure one of them.
It was.
I don't remember a lot.
It's indelible.
Pre-pandemic.
Indelible.
But
Wasn't the pandemic?
No, it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. My brain was like wiped by the pandemic. But I was like, I'll never forget that one. Then it was Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, and they were in action against Damian Priest and Finn Balor, who weren't accompanied by either Rhea Ripley or Dominik Mysterio or JD McDonough, but of course collectively,
they're in the f***ing Judgment Day. Yeah. Working on the other side, these baby faces. Which I quite like.
The other side.
Finn Balor came back for the night. That was a bit
I wish
odd.
it would split up.
I think they're going to.
and who's going to be the catalyst for that split?
Catalyst.
Catalyst, do you wait?
I didn't realise this. Andy told me.
So
this on
what
the
big
news.
business he's on about? He's just going to leave.
Aye.
It's all gone wrong.
I was talking to Andy on the news. I didn't realise that Darby Allin's just taking it easy until next week when he faces Jay White at Big Business.
It's because he's going to Everest, and I think it's an inspired bit of matchmaking because Jay White needs heating up. He needs a big win.
It's the Darby Allin red button, isn't it? So many guys have had it. Then they're going to be like, there's the Darby Allin match, of course, and then there's the, there was the Darby Allin match, remember?
When Juice cut that promo for him.
I mean, people reckon that tag he had with FTR is one of the best in history.
Yeah.
I would disagree, but
People love that, yeah.
Tony Khan.
The Seth Rollins Gauntlet
On the Raw
of
review.
AEW.
Yeah. Tony Khan has got this pretty incredible knack of like largely poorly handling a talent. Then given this one seminal moment that people like love and remember, like you got All Out 2022, which no one remembers, obviously. You got that out of Keith Lee.
Yeah. As good at like capital M moments as like WWE want to pretend they are.
That's better.
No.
So Balor got sent into a post early on to take us to a break. Imperium are working over when we come back. He fights back. Pele kick gets over to Priest. Hot tag. Kaiser tries to tag out, but Vinci's been knocked off the apron by Finn Balor. So Priest hits Kaiser with a flatliner and hits running back elbows on both of them. Chucks Vinci out of the ring. Hits a Falcon Arrow on Kaiser to get a 2 count. He misses a splash in the corner, though. Balor comes in for the sling blade, but Kaiser grabs a Death Valley driver. Giovanni Vinci blocks Balor's dropkick attempt, and Kaiser hit a Finley roll. Balor comes back, though. Sling blade, dropkick, coup de grace on Vinci, but Kaiser breaks up the cover. So Priest comes in, chucks him out, and says, go on, Finn. Finn does a big flip dive onto him. Vinci tries to schoolboy Damian Priest. Priest kicks out. Big clothesline. South of heaven chokeslam. Big pop. 1, 2, 3.
Imperium Judgment Day is my new favourite Fed. Like, they must have known. I don't believe, as much as I love the Fed, I don't believe that they would have sort of thought, we'll call it out in the ring and we'll work out who's going to be the heels and faces, then go from there after a minute or so. I think they must have known. I think they're just going to prefer us, so we'll be baby faces for the night. And it was...
Didn't necessarily feel that cynical though when he watched it.
Yeah, it was. I just found it really, really fun to watch. Almost like Finn and Damien's acting was of, they're with us. Like I'm gonna get up for this a little bit. Like the Finn dive, Damian Priest doesn't need to like be there for like to sort of make it look better. It's like when the Rockers used to have like Shawn jumping while Marty's there. It's just about a visual. It's like we're class, we're a team, yeah. Like that's not how the Judgment Day normally act. It was like the opposite what they were doing against Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate as proper.
Would you say that's
scheming heels?
Would you say that's what the Rockers are mainly known for, or what would you think they prefer to be known for?
Where's this going?
I don't have
Sex.
Oh, right.
Come
because
on. Shout out to Steve Fall's interview with Marty Jannetty. Kind of a must watch.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it there.
Can't tee one up. You can't tee one up like that again.
No,
please don't.
Yeah, like I would say WrestleMania 7. Wouldn't you agree? Steve?
Yeah, yes,
fantastic wrestling opener. Now, really great watching the Judgment Day as one night working baby faces.
Yes.
Don't know what version of them you get in. What I'm thinking is going to be a tag showcase because Eve and I, after 2 weeks, I'm thinking that like Awesome Truth are not hot enough in these backstage segments to make it work anymore. Get our Truth out in the ring. We're back on. We're back in business.
All fell apart when Miz got locked in a room.
Yeah. Aye. Regeneration X getting the 2K24 segment this week didn't lead me to believe that maybe Awesome Truth Road is direct.
My concern is if they do that, is if Johnny Gargano gets to cosplay as Shawn Michaels as part of an entrance, he ain't making it to the ring. Just going to explode on the spot. Because he did that when he was it NXT champion when they were like, who do you want to pose as a WWE legend? I'll be Shawn, thank you very much.
It was in your house. He couldn't believe his luck.
That was it.
He couldn't believe his luck. We're doing an in your house 95 and I'm still here because Vince didn't want me. Well, perfect. I think it's going to be a 4-way for the belts.
Thoughts on this match?
It had a different tenor. The in-ring action was just quite different between this and the Gunther Dominik match. Just a different tenor to it all that I was really quite into.
They announced Paul Heyman is going into the 2024 Hall of Fame.
Bizarre world.
Cole said he wouldn't be here if he hadn't worked with Heyman in the past and talked about him and Taz sitting in Stamford and Heyman drilling him on commentary and said, look, that's minuscule compared to Heyman's other contributions to the business. Quite right, he's going into the Hall of Fame, especially in Philadelphia, of course.
Indeed. He's a complete and utter scumbag, but he was successful in wrestling.
Sharp shooting from Michael Cole on that one. Congratulations, Paul Heyman.
Drew McIntyre's backstage with Jackie Redmond. She congratulates Heyman, then asks if Drew was listening to what Seth was saying. Drew says no.
Probably the most influential guy of the 90s,
yeah.
Paul Heyman, in terms of how he, how he sort of created this proto-attitude with ECW. Probably as influential as the Bullet Club were in the 2010s.
I would say so. I think by the late 90s, a lot of people were gunning for ECW's talent, and that showed you the legacy, just how many he had in the chamber at that time.
Yeah, so many ideas in the chamber.
Like I was watching it, like sort of through the pages of Power Slam. I was merely a dreamer about like just even getting to see ECW. So when it finally came to television, I was just watching it on tape for the first time. I was like, W. And it was like, should I watch Barely Legal or Hardcore Heaven? And I was like, I'm hardcore, I'll take them both.
I like the night the line was crossed.
Because you have to. Because Finn Martin told
Yeah, I know.
10 years. Got to see the three-way dance. I'm like, when's it getting good, Finn? in my memory. Michael, my memory was perfect.
I thank him enormously for recommending it, though, because when you do go through the best of ACW, it's just go.
It's amazing.
So the energy was unbelievable.
Like awesome, knocking 10 shades of out of JT Smith, and you're like, what are you doing that doing for? It's enough. And then you'd watch like JT Smith's the other tapes, and he was like quite a charming cartoon heel because he's earned respect for life because he's been left half for dead.
Like awesome, man.
I would watch those matches. One after another. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
That reminds me, do you want me to do the February swear counter update?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is, I've not counted up the recent ones, so the last couple of days, but, so let me go back. So January, I can find this. January, the swear counter stood at around about 87 for Sidgwick, 60 for Hamflet, 6 for me, 2 for Stacks. We are now at the end of February. 1 for Nicholas, 2 for Stacks, so he's been very good this month or last month.
Consistent.
21 for me. I can't remember, I got a bit carried away.
Creeping up.
145 for Michael Hamflet and 188 for Michael Sidgwick.
Hey! Oh! I don't swear that. Well, obviously I do. You're worse than me. I mean, statistically you're not, but you are.
Numbers don't lie, so they just spell disaster for you at sacrifice.
Anyway, Drew says Seth is a spotlight junkie.
We've worked this out, though. What I do is, because I'm conscientious with my swearing, okay, once I do one, right, I'll take that as, right, I can do loads more in one burst so that he doesn't really have to, like, flit around the file and go from, like, minute to this, minute to the. So I'm a conscientious swearer.
Okay.
Drew says Seth.
Swearing's cool.
So cool.
Is this cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Drew says Seth is a
So
spotlight.
what's my mother? The Rock swore in a rap. That was great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's right on a rap, didn't he?
It's like, because the rap was crowded. It's like, how can I get this back? Swearing. So when I've got the joke that's not that strong, I'll put a swear in there. Yeah. Gets him every time. It's Fraser Cranium every time.
Drew says Seth is a spotlight junkie.
He's the most wholesome
I love him.
account on all of X, and he loves to swear. That's his magic. Magic combination, Fraser Cranium.
He says Seth should be focused on the title, but look at the recent comebacks. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and now The Rock. Seth's got to be there. He didn't care anymore about what Rollins did. As long as he showed up at WrestleMania, McIntyre's going to put him down because the title deserves so much better than Seth Rollins. Also deserved better than Jey Uso, he said. All I wanted this entire time from Jey was an apology. Instead, I'm going to be the bigger man. Sorry, Jey, I apologize to you because I know how much you need this victory. There's not a chance in hell you're winning, though. I love this Drew character.
This was terrific. And again, the Seth element of the Drew element of the Seth promo earlier on, pretty good too. I'm not convinced after this Raw that Seth's got it in him to carry both programs simultaneously. And I'm banging at the Drew one and starting to doubt his placement in the bigger one.
Ripley confronts Io Sky backstage and tells her to stay out of her territory. Io just laughs at her and leaves.
I don't know. Saw a lot of Western Australia. I'd quite like to go to a territory. Very nice.
Too many scary animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually. Good point. Don't put them in the adverts, do they?
Yeah.
Put the Roos in there.
Actually, yeah, they're pretty scary. Not the jacked ones. They look the friendly ones on the West. You don't get the one where the guy's having to take the lad to get his dog back. They should totally do that with Cody and Pharaoh. And then like Kangaroo turns his head and it's Jack, but it's got a neck tattoo. I'm a fan. And he wants to meet Pharaoh to get his autograph. And drown it.
Have you got an
And drown it. That's what they do, it's nature.
Sami Zayn. Main event time? No, not yet. We got Sami Zayn versus Ivar next.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael Cole's wearing the antlers, which is pretty bloody funny, I thought.
It's an awful bit, that, isn't it?
I don't get it.
He just mentioned the antlers once. And then he's like, I'd like to wear them. And then they had him and Wade, I think it was, or Graves, whichever one it was, had a bit of a runner with it. And then it popped them both at the Rumble. And then he got to wear them.
Got to wear them and awkwardly hold his headset so he could commentate on the match whilst
You have to be mad to work at WWE, but it helps.
I wore this on a silly hat day.
So Zayn hits a flip dive, but Ivar blocked a tornado DDT and hit a rolling senton off the apron to take us to break. When we come back, Ivar's trying like a super back suplex, but Zayn counters into a crossbody for 2, goes for the haluva kick. Ivar nails him with a spinning kick, and a sit-out powerbomb gets 2. Zayn hits a sunset flip powerbomb for 2, hits a great exploder into the corner. Ivar blocks the haluva kick again with a seated senton, but Zayn dodges the moonsaults, hits the haluva kick and gets the 1-2-3, but then gets laid out by Bronson Reed after the match and hit with a tsunami.
Good work. Raw's 3 hours long.
When's Eric back? Ivar's done a good job of keeping this act alive, but I'm ready for it to be a tag team act again.
Yeah, I mean, the work was good. There was some moments where I was like, oh. But
when are we getting another Viking rules match? That's all I care about.
I just want the boats. Let me get my boots. I just want to not watch a 3-hour WWE show every single week of my life. 39 this year, man. Do you know what I mean? Don't follow it for performers. Just 3 hours long.
Gunther gets interviewed. He gives Dom credit for stepping up, but said, look, the outcome was never in doubt. He said the gauntlet's stacked. Should be, though. I've elevated this title to new heights. And all the winner's going to earn is a chance to get outclassed at WrestleMania. Here comes Chad Gable, yeah. And Gable says he's sick of Gunther's condescending smile. I could look past that, but I can't look past what you did to me after our match. The tears in my daughter's eyes and you insulting me as a father. To anyone else, it's just the path to Mania, but this is my path to redemption. I'm going to deliver on what I swore back in September, taking the title from Gunther and put it around my waist, and taking that smile from Gunther and putting one on my daughter's face. This means more.
Just huge promises that he sort of needs to keep, otherwise where to go from here. Like, not so much winning. I can take him losing at WrestleMania potentially, but like I want him to win, obviously. Yeah. But he's at least got to get there, hasn't he? With stuff like this.
Yeah.
Jey Uso.
That's a babyface promise. Triple H knows the thing about this business. Then Chad Gable's going to win at WrestleMania.
Here's the thing: if you're a babyface, lie to him.
Jey Uso cut a promo on Drew. Said for weeks he's been hearing Drew cry and complain about an apology. Well, he's sorry. He's sorry about what he's going to do. But getting his work tonight and find out that Jey don't play, and then he puts on those Yeet sunglasses that I need a pair of.
Yep. Thought the exact same thing. Myself to the old superstore in Philly. Pair of Yeet glasses, please. Good sir.
On pair.
Thank you very much. Bounce out the shop. Did you get everything you wanted, Mr. Hamlet? Yeet.
Oh, it's dead. It's dead as a thing.
Chase it down with some Mountain Dew pie.
Yeah, I walk out the shop and people are wearing the e-glass, just throw them away. People all get Jimmy Uso shirts. I don't like him anymore.
Ciampa Gargano and R-Truth and Miz and Xavier Woods are there. They're all playing 2K in the back.
Friggin' ends, does it?
Miz said, how are we playing this so early? It's not out yet. Xavier Woods has got a hook up with 2K. Miz has heard their ideas on how to get revenge on Judgment Day, and he thinks they're ridiculous. Dropping slime, feeding them bread. Truth says, hey, one of them might have a problem with gluten, which is quite funny. Miz said they should take the tag titles, and they all put their hands in for a Regeneration X chant. Woods wants to hate it, but he loves it, a bit like usage. Your thoughts, quickly?
Bit lame. Pushing it a bit here, I think.
Yeah.
Pushing the look.
Johnny Gargano was fated to just be Shawn Michaels.
Main event time. Good. Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso.
Not good as the case may be.
They go to a break straight away. McIntyre chucks Jey over the announce desk. When we come back, McIntyre's in control. But Jey blocks, I think, a white noise, hits a sit-out powerbomb for 2. Goes for the splash, but McIntyre gets his knees up and hit a spine buster for 2. And then McIntyre suplexes Jey on the outside for another break. We come back. He's driving him into the barricade in the side of the ring. Jey fights back. Thrust kick, uppercut, Samoan drop for 2. Hits a running hip attack and a suicide dive. Goes up top. Then suddenly Solo Sikoa is there at ringside. So Jey misses the splash and McIntyre hits him with a Future Shock DDT for 2. Rhodes comes out and takes out Sikoa. They brawl through the crowd. McIntyre goes for a Claymore kick, but Jey catches him with 3 consecutive super kicks and a spear. He looks like he's got the match won, but he's setting up for the finish and suddenly realizes There's Jimmy Uso again at ringside, and that distraction has allowed Drew to recover, and Jay turns around into a Claymore for the 1-2-3. Post-match, Jimmy grabs a chair, but Rollins sprints out and super kicks the chair in his face, but Rollins then turns around into a big Claymore kick from McIntyre, who yells at him as the show goes off the air to stop being so selfish, do the right thing, and stop getting involved with the bloodline.
Good news first. I got nice memories of probably my favourite Triple H era stuff so far. Really mega over goodies and baddies, ending Raw. Loved Cody running out, immediately targeting the bloodline. Seth doing the same thing and like purposely blanking. Love all that. Like proper good guys, everybody's hot. People want to see all these matches. Good stuff. So I was into that, into the layout of it and stuff. Jey Uso is such a contemporary WWE puzzle because the singles matches just aren't there. The Drew chemistry is actively poor, and this should be sort of the biggest thing he's doing as a singles wrestler outside of fighting Jimmy. I love him. I love the idea of main event Jey Uso, and then the bell rings. And it's not even bad. It's just not good. It's just not very entertaining. The stuff's not threaded together all that well. When he does his sort of, it's not derivative of The Rock specifically, but the whole thing in WWE where you've got a punch and you make it more animated, an attack that you make a bit more fun. He does all that. People love it. The crowd connection is obvious and evident all the time. And yet the matches just drag, and it's just a series of moves. It's I like the Usos, but I never really thought the Young Bucks, and in good faith, I never thought the Young Bucks Usos conversation was really a conversation.
Young Bucks better.
Young Bucks
greater than simple.
Yeah, it was.
Of course it is.
Usos had loads of great matches, but nowhere near as many as the Young Bucks, and there was just an artless quality to some of the Uso classics compared to the Young Bucks ones. And I just feel like I'm seeing that in Jay's matches, in spite of how much I love so much of this act. The Jimmy match is the match to do. I think the heat will be there. I think it will die in the middle, and I think it will get hot again at the end, because I just don't have the faith in them to make all of it work. I just can't see it right now. I can't visualize most of that being good.
Yeah, I mean, the team who just relentlessly spanned super kicks just to get a reaction because they don't know how to work. I prefer the Young Bucks.
Hey.
Sorry, man. This match was slow and plodding, and Jey Uso's road dog ... but good.
Yeah.
Approach to working a match.
Absolutely fair in every respect.
He is one full star better than Road Dogg as a worker, but Road Dogg was a 2-star worker. That's Jey Uso. It's just plodding. Yeah. There's nothing good, really, between the crowd interaction offense. Just it's that, and as you say, it's disjointed, and you get this a really boring bit.
You're fling a dive in there, and you were so used to seeing them for Raw rolling on, but when Jey does it, he gets a massive pop, jumps on guys, and he's over. He's so weird. He's
a good over gentleman's 3 guy who I think is quite cool and funny out of the ring, but Road Dogg ... but good. But Road Dogg is so bad that even if you're Road Dogg ... but good, you're still not great.
Yeah.
He's going to get a great reaction when he turns up with Seth and Cody on Friday, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Huge pop.
They're going to go 20 minutes at WrestleMania, and it's going to stink.
Jey and Jimmy.
Yeah.
I got concerns about that.
Well, let us know your thoughts on Monday Night Raw in the comment section or on X at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. You can follow all 3 of us. You can follow Michael Hamflet at
Michael Hamflet.
You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. Follow our brilliant producer at It's Adam Nicholas. And make sure you subscribe to the What Culture Wrestling Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. We'll be back later on today.
Oh my God.
To look ahead to NXT Road One. Beep, beep, got the bloody road. So join us for that one. And loads of great podcasts on there already, so check them out as well. But for now, this has been the Raw Review. Thanks to Michael Hamflet, to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.